Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the empty plot in the goblet, it's the KoR Live Podcast. Good evening, everyone. I haven't been on in a whole month. And technically some change because of some other stuff, but oh my goodness. It's good to be back in the seat. Oh my goodness. I'm here. I'm Devin. I'm here with Jaster.
The door kind of creaks open. He looks at, holy shit! I was going to come in and get the other dudes. All right. How's it going?
Guys, it's going pretty good. I'm sorry I haven't been on in a long time, y'all. I'm at the end of my semester in school, so it's been a really, really busy time. I just haven't had really the time to get in. I feel bad, but you know, Jaster, Kaz, and the other guys have been doing a bang up job keeping it together, y'all.
No, I get it, man. Like we're all here for each other. You know what I mean? Like if one of us can't make it for a while, we do our best. We do what we can here.
Since I've been on, we've had I think 3 banger episodes. In the meantime, y'all had the Dogman special. That was a treat to listen to.
That was wild. Like. Oh my goodness! Like that turned into something I wasn't expecting. I ain't gonna lie. Like we ended up just
telling me
the whole back half was bitching about people in Kentucky, not just basically. I'm not gonna lie. Like
as I was editing, I was like, "What the fuck am I still listening to the right recording?" Like.
We're just like, okay, halfway through, we're like, we just got to debunk a bullshit Dogman encounter real quick. Okay? A whole hour later, we're like, and that's why this is bad. All right? Like, Kaiden over here is like blown away, but at the same time, like, yes.
Hey, Kaiden's like, wait, the guys who are for this are debunking this. Hold on.
Well, and that's a point that we like to take. All right? And that's a good thing. Let's go ahead and do some housekeeping stuff. All right, like, and for the YouTube people, I'm probably going to put a little thing like in here so you can skip that part because let's go ahead and start with that, guys. I think it's official. I haven't really talked to Devin about this, but we're going to do it live. I think we're moving the official platform for the podcast over to YouTube. All right, it's going to be a slow process, but I think it's going to be the best for the show.
Yeah, we are going to be doing that. Don't worry, if you guys are listening on Spotify, we will still be releasing every week. It'll be on the dot, and technically it'll be above. And, technically you'll hear it first on Spotify, just because there's a few extra things we gotta do for YouTube. But if you really want, in my opinion, the best experience, YouTube's going to be the way to go. Just because Spotify's been fighting us. It's really been fighting us. It's not being open with our listeners, and that hurts us as creators because we can't see who we're reaching out to.
Exactly.
It's a number that I don't think is correct due to how many people have confirmed that they've listened to it, and then the numbers just don't add up. Whereas with YouTube, we actually have the comment section. We have regular listeners in the comments, and we appreciate y'all so much. Y'all make our day every time we see y'all pumping in the comment being like, this is a great show, keep up the good work. That makes our day, honestly.
And we feel bad for the Spotify people that don't have the outright ability to do that with commenting and other type stuff like that. So like if you do have those thoughts, those types of appreciations and things like that, we absolutely appreciate it, and we want to hear that too. So if you want to, like we said, generally that night or the next night, whatever, and I have time to do so, I try to get the latest episode up on the YouTube channel, and I try a couple of videos a week as well. So, and that's a combination of uploading old archived episodes that we have on Spotify, as well as some clip ideas, trying some new stuff. The next thing with that, though, is that here in a couple of months, we're getting another editor. Not that Devin's not doing a good job, but Locke's coming back.
Yeah, if you guys remember Locke from our very early episodes, he had the same situation that I'm currently in, where he went back to school and is just too busy. Nothing against us, nothing against him. It's just schedules didn't line up, so he didn't want to overrun his schedule with also having to worry about the the podcast as well. So he took a break, but he's about to be done, and he said he'd love to come back, and
I'd love to have him back. Absolutely.
I'd love to have him back because I freaking love Locke. He's an amazing person.
And he knows so much about this game that we don't, and yeah, he's a little rough around the edges. I think all of us are here at the group. You know what I mean?
I like that about him.
I like that about him. Exactly.
I like that about him.
You're going to get what you're going to get, Lord Almighty.
If you're being stupid, Locke's going to be the first one to tell you to your
First
face.
First one. But
pre-order the dumbass.
Yeah. And with that, I'd like to announce that he's going to be the YouTube editor while Devin's going to primarily stay on sound. I think that's probably going to be the best way of dealing with this. That way we can get more and expand more content out there for you guys in ways that don't stress the team out. So I think he's mostly going to be helping with video editing and stuff like that, and helping bring new types of content to us. Like, one thing we want to try to get to by the end of the year is video podcasting. However, that's not something that Devin can really do on his own. So we're going to be waiting until back half of this year to start really pushing new types of editing, new types of videos, that kind of stuff when we get the new manpower. But with that, I just want to get that out of the way. And then finally, we are restructuring the show a bit, just so everybody knows. We have 3 different types of shows for people who've been listening from the beginning. We've got KoR Live, which is the main show. It's the one everybody comes here for, right? Maybe. So then we got KoR Live After Hours. Okay, that's the side show where we talk about random stuff. All right. And then we got Lunch Break, which is kind of like our short form video podcast, right? Try to stay in the half hour, 45-minute range. Well, because none of them had a very loose set of identities, we had a hard time with what we wanted to do with them all. So we sat down and we finally ironed it all out. So the main show is going to be for media, video games, all that kind of good stuff, news, all that kind of good shit. And then KoR After Hours is going to be a paranormal show where we're not just going to be talking about cryptids, even though I love them, but we're also going to be talking about paranormal as well. So we're going to be bringing in all kinds of stuff. That way, Devin also has a reason to talk because he's not a giant, Bigfoot nerd like me and Kaz. So,
but I'm really much into the occult and the paranormal, so, look forward to ghost stories with Devin.
Little known fact about me, I lived on that side of the fence for over 10 years. So, I've got more than my share of shit to add to that fire, too. So, we're going to be cooking in the kitchen. You're going to be hearing some fun shit. We're really, really happy with these 2 shows, honestly. Now, the third show, Lunch Break, we don't normally utilize it very much because we generally don't know what to do with it, honestly. So, what we're doing is we're going to be turning that into a what have we been up to lately kind of show with a little bit more laid back, chill kind of environment that doesn't have as much of an itinerary. It's more of a hangout kind of podcast. So if that's something you want to listen to, that's it for you. So with these 3 shows with a more firm identity, I have a feeling that we're going to be able to crank out much better content and much more focused content, which will eventually just lead to more content.
Yeah.
So,
and if you guys are, in for the interviews we've been doing, then we are going to be putting those onto the KoR Lunch Break as well. Seeing as sitting down and talking with someone, I feel sits with that. I
feel like we might need to
sitting around shooting the shit kind of thing.
Maybe make it a little longer. I think half hour is a light interview.
Well, I think what we're going to do is we're going to be removing any time restrictions from the shows.
That's fair.
So, main show, if it runs over an hour, I'll just deal with it. It's fine. After hours, it can be as short as we want. It can be as long as we want. If it's over, if it's anything over 2 hours, I'm going to be splitting it into 2 parts anyway. So that's that. But we're going to be just lifting up our time restrictions that we've had with those, which the only thing that was just for myself, honestly, just because my schedule was so busy. But seeing as I'm graduating soon, I'm about to be opened up a lot more. Even with the new job, I'm going to be still on a consistent schedule, and I can find the time.
Isn't it beautiful? Not getting your soul sucked by retail out of your butt.
Right. Oh my god, I can't wait. I'm going to be the happiest motherfucker. Right. I already told my people.
I'll be stepping up.
I'm going to be a menace. I'm going to be a menace on my last day.
So, we got a lot more going on with the show. We're trying to structure it better. We're trying to get more content out there. We're trying to put more things out there for you guys to listen to on platforms that are conducive for people hearing and seeing the show. So, with that new refocus going on, we're going to jump into what we got going on for y'all tonight, which honestly, we didn't know what the fuck we were doing coming into this show tonight. We're like, we're just going to talk about whatever we want to talk about, which turned into tonight's episode, y'all.
Which we were getting ready to start hitting the record button, and then it was like, wait, we've got it.
We're doing it right now.
So we already talked about, I've been busy with work and school, so that's fine. Just been, anytime he's not there, it's probably because of work. But he does good work.
Doing my best.
Slinging soup,
sandwiches and salads, baby.
Hell yeah. But so the other thing we've been doing, other than that is, I've been on my stream game. You guys can find me, you already know, you can find me on my channel, Kung Pao Slendy, on Wednesdays and Saturdays. But I've been playing games with friends. But other than that, me and Jaster both have been back into the 14 grind, the Final Fantasy 14 grind, and we've been in our own ways, we've both been butting heads with it.
And let's just do it. Let's just set the groundwork. Let's set the stage here real quick, y'all. So some big background for the show is that we are originally a guild from Final Fantasy 14. This is our game, right? We've been around for 8 years now on the main server that we're on, where if you figure it out, you figure it out. I'm not going to disclose it. You know what I mean?
Right.
You'll figure it out. If
you've seen the 3 letters, you know.
Yeah, you know. All right. Okay. So we've been around for a while. We've got our fair share of history with the server. We've had goods. We've had bads. All that other kind of stuff, right? With the community. We have a whole separate conversation with what we feel about the community from where we started to where we're at now. But we're here mostly to talk about game updates and changes and stuff like that, and just stuff and how we feel. And we want to preface this whole conversation by saying our opinions aren't because we don't like this game. I just calculated earlier this afternoon with Archer, I have 6,000 hours logged on Final Fantasy 14. It's a weird way for me to show my hate for it, okay? So whatever I'm about to say, if it's ever about to come out of my tilts, okay, this comes from a place of love. Because I do really enjoy this game. I enjoy the community. I enjoyed the experience I've had for almost 10 years on this game, okay? But that does not mean that it's all sunshine and roses. And the first thing that I want to really get onto, let's just bust this right out the gate, okay? This community has a toxic positivity problem. Alright? It is okay to love the game and not agree with everything the game does. Okay? That is something you will find in every single game. But one of the few times I've seen something wild is that in Final Fantasy XIV, the toxic positivity is real. Okay? I experienced it in the guild itself when I was just expressing my own opinion to an extent, right? Because we've always been a freedom of information, a free market of information kind of community. So we've always been just say what you feel. We can always have a conversation about it, all that kind of shit. And Shadowbringers came out and everybody was loving it, okay? And I just was not jiving with it. And, like, primarily, like, my major gripes with the game is that it's been going in a single-player direction, not a multiplayer, not a guild-centric direction for an MMO over the last I'd say 3 years.
Ever since Shadowbringers, yeah.
Yeah.
Ever
Like,
since Shadowbringers introduced the trust system.
like, MMOs are built and sustained by their communities, their guilds, right? That's why guilds exist, okay? Like, love or hate the guilds that come up that become almost autonomous states in themselves and all that other kind of crap, but those communities are what drive your game. That's what gets people to play the game, you know what I mean? And as a free company leader over the past 8 years, I've had a harder time finding more unique ways of getting everybody together to do different stuff outside of things that I just have to completely create on my own. Like, I'm having a hard time with finding guild-related things to do with everybody besides roulettes or besides, like, just running dungeons or something. Or anything, for that matter, that would help contribute to the guild itself, besides the company workshop. That's it. And, like, that's been cut back, if anything. You know, like, the Diadem just got completely ripped out. And, like, that's not to say that I don't like how the Diadem works now. What I'm saying is that guilds
It used to be a community.
Yeah, guilds lost something huge and never got anything to replace it. And that's been a continual thing. Like, now we're getting cross-data link shells, all this other kind of stuff. Way to communicate in ways that aren't guilds. And, like, guilds are the lifeblood of a game. That's, like, my main gripe with, like, the direction that's been going on. However, I think, like, I've been more than willing to take this new X-Pack, just wipe the slate clean. Because I think, honestly, that, like, besides that, the way that the story kind of concluded with Endwalker just really sealed the deal on me needing to take a break as a leader to kind of, I need to cool off. If I get too into my head about the way I've been feeling about this game, playing it for so long, then I'm just going to implode. That ain't going to be good for nobody, right? So that's why I took a big break and started playing a lot of other games. So I was like, I'm just going to wait until the next X-Pack starts ramping up. I'm going to take some time off. I'm going to get back into it when the X-Pack starts ramping up. Because it's a fresh start. Like, this new, like, shit, I can't even remember the name of this.
Dawn Trail.
Dawn Trail. It's a new saga, right? Because the
it's a very new beginning.
Yes. The Ascian tale is over. Which...
Yeah, the whole arc that's been built since ARR, you know, the Hydaelyn versus Zodiark arc is now, it's done. It's completely done. There's no more remnants of it. This is a new beginning.
No more random Daniels coming out of left field. You know what I mean?
This is a fresh start, going back to just a low tier fantasy. I'm excited for that.
Yes.
I'm excited to just have an adventure.
Exactly.
We just saved the whole fucking universe. I want a break. I want a vacation. I want an island getaway. You know, yeah, some friendly competition in there with, like, you know, some of the Monster Hunter vibes with it and, like, some of the dueling vibes that I've seen with, like, the trailers. I'm like, dude, this is good. This is good because it gives you, like, you know, a reason to fight, but it's not, oh, the world's at stake again.
No. So, actually, I think I got some alleged information on the story coming up. Like, I wouldn't call it a leak, but I think they kind of like, here's a little bit of a tidbit. Apparently, the idea is there is a warlord over in the New World that is vacuuming power quickly. And he's posing to sail to Eorzea for war. And we're supposed to come in there guerrilla style and cut the legs out from under him before he's even able to set sail. Like, that's the idea. That's what I've heard. I could be completely wrong on that, but
if that ends up being true, that's still
cool.
A lower tier thing.
That to me, that's more. That was what the vibes I was getting off of Stormblood when they were ramping up with the Alamegan War and going into the Gimlet Dark and everything like that. I thought we were going to get some more grittier stories. And like, to me, that sounds a lot grittier. That sounds like some CIA bullshit. You know what I mean? Like, we're getting dropped into Nicaragua, go topple a fucking regime.
We're going there under the disguise of it's a family vacation, but we're planting bombs on the streets.
The Griswolds depose Caracas. You know what I mean? Like, that sounds like what we're getting. That's perfect. Okay. Now, like I said, I'm coming back to a lot, right? There's been a lot of changes, a lot of class stuff going out wrong, and like I said, I'm a red mage main. I've been so grateful because they never broke it. They never needed to fix it. You know, like, it's been so consistent, so I can jump right back into the game, start getting through some story content. Because, like, for the longest time, I was always on the fence of, like, you know what, I'm just going to pay to skip the Endwalker story. Because, like, yeah, I was like, you know what, I'm not even going to try and play Endwalker for the first week because the servers were all jammed up, and the people who did get in and play it, they came back to me and they said, you are definitely not going to like the story. Like, coming off of how I was feeling about Shadowbringers. Now, like, my big problem with Shadowbringers was, like, I feel like we could have had Shadowbringers and Stormblood flipped, right? So it'd be like the story would go A Realm Reborn, Heaven's Ward, Shadowbringers, Stormblood, Endwalker. Because to me, going to the first felt like such a rip, you know what I mean? Like, broke my immersion, and I was like, okay. And I really don't like G'raha T, I'm gonna be honest. As a character, not a big fan. Like, just
well,
not.
I do agree with that. With, like, you know, I know a lot of people don't like Stormblood, but, like, as someone who was getting into the Garlean War, like, getting into, like, you know, the lore, the fights with it, it's like they had a really strong thing going, and it was building, and then you're at the you're at the peak of it, you're at the climax of it, right about to do this final fight, and you're ripped away. You're ripped away, and you wake up in fantasy land, you know, a different fantasy land,
and you can't do nothing.
You can't do anything about it. The only thing you could do about it is get through the entirety of the base Shadowbringers.
You just gotta hope.
Which, like, I'm not saying, like, on its own, I think Shadowbringers was a good time. But, like, putting it next to the other X packs, it becomes my least favorite.
Yeah,
because, like, honestly becomes my least favorite.
I was very attached. Like, attached is probably a good word, but, like, I was very invested in what was going on in the war. You know what I mean? That was what I was wanting to see more of. That was like, ooh, I can't wait. You know what I mean? And then it was basically, essentially, I had to wait a whole X-Pack to get back to what I wanted. You know? So, like, that wasn't really jiving with me. Right? And, like...
then when you got back, it's already over.
It's already over. And then I was really not happy. Because I was like, that was literally what I've been waiting for. You know, like, that was like 3 years of story investment that just felt like it went straight into the toilet. Like, and, like, I know we're going to be catching a lot of flack for this episode. I guarantee it. All right? Like, I guarantee we are. But I just felt like something was not jiving with me. Like, I felt like almost like Yoshi P was wanting to write one story, but in order to finish the Ascian arc correctly, he had to catch up a lot of loose ends somehow, some way, in order to make this make sense. You know what I mean? Because he had to tie up that story before he can move on to a new saga anyway. So, like, his hands were kind of tied by the director before him that established this arc in the first place. Kind of like how all the crap spaghetti code in the really bad game that was 1.014 got dropped in Yoshi P's lap. And now we have the WoW killer. You know? So, like, that is my biggest point to take away, is that now that Yoshi P can make these stories and make this content without his hands tied to previous obligations in the story, I have a good feeling that I'm going to like what I'm going to see. because, like, as far as I understand, because I've not been able to play it because it hasn't been ported to PC yet, but Final Fantasy 16 is exactly the kind of Final Fantasy story I've been wanting. Which is...
Yeah, we've got several people who've have PlayStation 5s, such as Vera, Block, Archer, and they've been playing the game, and they're like, y'all are gonna love this. This is a Final Fantasy game, not in the way of like, oh yeah, it's a title that says Final Fantasy. No, this is a Final Fantasy game, and what I mean by that, I'm not talking 7. All right, because I want to make something clear. Side tangent. There is a difference between Final Fantasy fans and Final Fantasy 7 fans.
Oh,
Can
God,
we agree?
Yes, absolutely. Like,
Look,
no
guys,
offense to him.
I get it. 7 was fun. It wasn't that good.
It's not the whole franchise.
It's not the whole franchise. Please play another title.
The fact that we've literally got a multi-billion-dollar project to just remaster just 7, and people are, like, putting this up for Game of the Year, kind of stands on its own for this argument. Like, listen,
And
y'all, like,
$60 for one part.
They're gonna sell you $240 worth of shit, which they cooked up the story mostly for almost 20 years ago. Wake up, okay? Like, I understand new technology. It's definitely a good game, right? But
It is. We're not like hating on it. It looks fantastic. I've seen gameplay of it. Looks beautiful.
I don't think it's Game of the Year material because it's not.
I don't.
The game
I also
that
don't.
It didn't come out this year. It came out 20 years ago.
And also, I'm gonna wait until there's like a full collection that I can just download.
Right.
I'm not about to drop $60, wait 3 years, drop $60 more, wait 3 more years. You guys starting to see that pattern?
Yeah.
If they want it in 3 parts, that's $180 you just gave them for one game.
Now, like,
Not even like a special edition.
No, one game, and then they're probably going to sell you a special edition later.
Right.
Now, like,
the Tifa Bigger Boobs DLC. And y'all motherfuckers are going to eat that up. Good Lord.
Damn. They got the mods for it. I don't know if they need the DLC for it.
They'll pay.
That's
Trust
true.
me. They'll pay.
That's true.
You know what we're talking about? Come on.
But like, the point to be made is that I think there are so many Final Fantasy games that deserve that level of remake. 7 did as well. I think it's a proof of concept run. If there was any of them that was going to sell like hotcakes with a remaster, it was going to be 7. I think 6 and 9 definitely deserve the similar treatment.
Dude, oh my God, if we can get something for 6, oh my God. I just hated on you 7 players, but if they did the same thing for 6, I'd be shoveling them my money. I'm a hypocrite, I'll say it. I'd shovel them my money.
I'm content because like my like I said, I'm full of hot opinions today. All right, my favorite, my comfort food level Final Fantasy game is 12. And like, yes,
dude,
I
12
know.
is so good.
It
though.
is, but it's also an offline MMO. Like, let's be honest. Like,
yeah. There's a lot of grind to it. There's a lot of shit you got to do.
It got remade
like,
4 times. Like they literally threw in Vaughn in the last 6 months because they were like, Bosch isn't going to, like, he's not going to connect with our target audience. And it's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I would love to have a fucking like disgruntled, like, exiled soldier fighting with a space pirate captain in like the long-legged fucking Vieira side chick. You know what I mean? That would be equally fun, but like, to me, that was my senior year game. Like my senior year summer, that was the game I was playing. You weren't going to get me off of it.
I actually didn't play 12 until I did the Evilise raids in 14.
Those are my favorite raids.
And then like, when I first played them, I was like, I was with the hive mind that was like, these raids aren't good. These raids suck. And then I went back and played 12 and I was like, oh my God, these raids are a fucking masterpiece.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, what was I thinking? I'm sorry.
All of a sudden, the Attack on Titan music starts playing in the background. What did I
I was
do?
like, no, for real, it was a fucking great time. But yeah, so
Back on track a little bit.
Back on track, yeah.
So, what we're trying
we're looking forward to Dawn Trail is the main thing we're trying to say. Is like, despite the negatives we've hit personally, Dawn Trail is looking like a really, really huge positive.
Exactly. Now, like, I'm mostly just concerned that they, like, are we going to ever start getting, like, FC content again? That's my main, like, thing. It's like, God, I would love for, like, there to be a reason for there to be, like, guild events that the game supports. You know, like, we talk about it a lot, you know, like, there's a lot of RP venues that go out and do a lot of stuff. There's a lot of groups that go out and do a lot of things. There's a lot of communities that do a lot for their members. But there's not a lot of content that the game naturally throws at us as event organizers outside of regular type content to really latch a hold to, you know, like,
something I would love to see would be like a game mode that's similar to like the Bajan Front, where it's like, you know, like this big open area, you know, a lot of stuff going in, but you go in as a free company.
Yes. I would love free company battles in PvP.
Yeah, like some kind of thing where, like, you know, like, give me like an alliance raid style thing where like a bunch of free companies have to come in and, like, you know, work together or something to like a common goal, or like, you know, I can organize my whole FC to be in, like, you know, 3 different groups. Like, just give us some FC content, because right now, other than buffs, there's not, you know, other than buffs in an FC house, there's like there's not a reason to be in an FC. Like, besides the buffs in the house, that's
the
it.
Community aspect of it, like,
yeah.
I guess the point is that free companies don't get no help in this game. Like, they really don't.
Just please throw us a bone. Give us, you know, a Diadem 2, but make it the first one.
Yeah, right? Or like, what I felt like was really good, that I've been playing other MMOs and I see how they like to help support their guilds. I love SWTOR for that. They do so much more. It's kind of bad. Like, they do so much more for their guilds. Like, help you make money. They help you get plenty of housing. You've got different buffs that you can put on. There's different missions that you can do. There's all kinds of shit that you can do with guilds. Alright? Black Desert. You can literally turn your guild into a fucking money laundering operation if you want to. You can turn it into a real estate market sham. You can do whatever you want in that game. And there's also this is my part I really want. I would love this in 14. If we had weekly or daily or even missions that only last a few hours, right? Where the whole guild has to focus on a singular task, and whenever it's completed, we get money or something. I don't know. You know, whatever.
That would be good. That would give, like, you know, an incentive, being like, okay, let's log in. Okay, our weekly objective, we got to go and, you know, fight, I don't know, we got to go fight enemies in this map or something.
Exactly.
And, like, or, like, we have to do fates in this area. Something like, make it something that, like, you know, also makes it sync your level. Because I think if you go into someplace over leveled, it's just going to be like, yeah, someone can get that done in 5 minutes.
Right.
Like, but, like, I think, like, you know, go in and do fates, and then you can reward the FC with this. Or, like, go in and, like, you know, do clears of this list of dungeons. And it's like, you know, got, like, you know, 5 to 10 dungeons or something. And, like, you know, the more, you know, even if after you beat, like, you know, the mark, if you do it, like, you know, where you can go over it, I think that would also be cool too. Like, you can kind of go overtime on it.
Right. I like that. Like, and, like, let's be honest, like, 14 is popular enough to where we do have to be careful with injecting gil into the economy, because that can go all kinds of crazy. Like, we already have to go through so many precautions every X pack in order to make sure that the economy does not get screwed. And, like, being a part of a primarily crafting based server, economics is important to how I personally run the community. Like, knowing and understanding the market and how it shifts helps us immensely, right? In order for funding, for guild projects, for helping people buy houses, for helping people buy gear, all that kind of good stuff. It would help a lot, you know what I mean, if the economy didn't take a giant fucking shit, you know? So, like, that's why over the years I've kind of considered my role with the guild, with the markets that we use to make money, is also to help regulate these markets to make sure some shamurai don't come in here and cut the market all the fucking hell, which happens all the time. Like,
yeah, I think, you know, if they didn't do, like, you know, Gil specifically, they could always come up with a new, like, you know, FC currency.
Just give us seals.
Like, yeah, give us seals, or, like, you know, give us, like, you know, a set of currencies that we can use to, like, turn in to get, you know, specific items, like, you know, maybe some cool gear that we can give to our our people, or
give us some furnishings that you can only have.
Furnishings,
non-tradable.
Make it to where this, make it non-trade. Well, you might have to make it tradable so you can actually give it to the FC. Well, no, probably want it like non-tradable. That way, like, you know, a guild member can like activate can like go talk to like a person, like an NPC or something, and then trade guild currency for that. That way they can get it. Yeah, because if you make it tradable, then it's just someone's just gonna put it up on the market for like, you know, 3 bazillion gil.
Oh yeah,
and it's gonna crash everything.
I mean, like.
Which, speaking of the market, can I go a little tangent real quick?
A little bit. I mean, it's not much of a tangent, I guess. We're still in 14. We're not talking about other games like we were like 10 minutes ago.
Right. All right. People on the 14 market boards, can you stop undercutting by one, you fucking cheap assholes? Can we just all keep it on the same price, and whoever gets bought first gets bought first? Can we do that? Can we do that, or are you guys going to continue to be assholes? You guys are going to be assholes. Okay.
You know,
okay.
the older I get, the more I understand why RuneScape went to the market exchange system. They're like, okay, how about we handle this shit for you, because this is terrible. You know what I mean? Like,
it's like, oh my god, it's like, so.
And I could say that I grew up on RuneScape as a fucking flipper, bro. That was how I made my money. Was like all I did was sit outside Varrock and flip shit on the bank. Like,
I got a glam piece, a glam top, that on our market was selling for 1.2 mil. And I was like, oh, that's easy. I can get this piece, no problem. I'm not going to say it because I don't want to crash the economy even more.
It already did, though.
It already fucking did. But, like, I went on and I saw it was selling for, like, 1.2 mil. So I matched the exact price. Right? I was like, I'll just put it up, you know, same price, whatever. Don't care. I come back, you know, not even, like, 30 minutes later. You know, one of them's dropped down 1, one of them's dropped down 2, one of them's dropped down, like, you know, 8. So I'm like, oh, okay, I'll just match the lowest one again. Come back a few minutes later. We're now going by, you know, a whole 1,000 rather than a 1 gil, you know. So I'm like, okay, we'll drop it even further, whatever, as long as I still get some money. You know, a week later, we're now down to 200,000 because these kids just won't fucking leave it. I put mine out for fucking 200K just for like a thing of like, you know, while everyone else was still at a mill, as just like, well, you know, maybe they'll buy mine and then flip it for, you know, 800K. Nope, they just matched theirs down like a bunch of fucking idiots.
No, that is the true mistake, actually. Like, I mean, what we've been discussing up until that very moment is essentially standard market economics, right? Like, there's going to be some dumbass. Like, no matter what, somebody's going to come by and he's going to have the bright idea of just selling cheaper than you. Like, that's obvious. Honest to God, that's been my market strategy, and it works pretty well. So, like, what I like, the big part of it is, like, when you see that kind of shit happening, like, I guess that the other big key is to really look at the market history to see how things are selling. Because, like, if things...
Yeah, that's one thing. This was selling consistently at the 1.2 mil until, of course, when I show up, then it's got to drop.
Right, because everybody
drop,
else done figured it out, and a couple of knuckleheads that don't understand economies or how to make the most amount of money for what you're doing just come in. And like the sad part is like no matter how much we try to educate people on proper trading etiquette between sellers in order for people to make money, you're going to always have somebody that's going to come in with the bright idea just to undercut you, just to make any money. You know what I mean? And it's hard to compete against somebody whose ultimate goal is to just make money, period, instead of trying to make an appropriate amount for the amount of effort that they put in. That's hard. Because someone who doesn't value their own time, you're going to have a hard time beating them every day of the week. Real life or an MMO. So,
as soon as I saw they were undercutting me at 200K, I pulled my item off the market board. I just gave it to Archer. I just said, here you go, for nothing. Just fucking take, because that's all it's worth now is fucking nothing. So here you go.
Which, like, we've been successful over the years because we found a specific item that has a ton of demand to the point where supply almost doesn't matter. And, like I said, we're not disclosing that. Period. That's trade secrets, okay? Like, that's my number one secret. I'm not telling anybody what
it's an item in the game.
Yes.
That's your hint.
And if you come to our server, I'm selling it the cheapest, and I'm selling it the cheapest on the data center any given day. So, like, if you're on my data center and you're looking for the cheapest, probably buying from me anyway.
I'm gonna bleep that.
Like...
I'm gonna bleep the item name.
Oh, did I say it? Oh, shit.
You said it. Yeah, I don't want them knowing. I'm gonna go back
bleep
and bleep it.
Yeah, bleep
I'm bleeping that shit. Y'all don't get that information. Fuck you.
All right. Look at me. I'm that's I'm getting in my feelings and I'm dropping my cover. It's not good.
That's so like now I'm looking at like lower tier items that sell consistently and like people are like, yeah, this is the price. Like we're keeping it here. I'm like, there's some items that I'm like, farming for that's like selling for a lot, like, a good chunk of, good chunk and change. That's like, it's a little bit on the rare side. So that's why it's selling for so much. And I'm like, I'll sell it and I might get them and start selling them to people like, untaxed. I might just be like, you want this? I'll sell it to you for like, $1.5 million under market value.
Man. Or the other thing I like to do when I'm like, whenever somebody from the guild's trying to buy something is I will buy it for over market value.
Yeah, I tried to, I got this one outdoor furnishing that was like worth like 2,000. Jaster was like, here's 5,000.
Have a good day.
Have a good day.
Like,
yeah.
Because I personally prefer, and this is like for any free company or guild leader out there that's trying to get any advice on how to up your economic game for the least amount of breaking your back or your officer team's back, is that the real true thing is like there's always going to be a guild out there that has deeper pockets and coffers than you do, okay? Being smart with being strategic with the money you do have is important. However, I will say, in my experience, the number one thing that you can do to make the guild's life easier as a leader is to boost the individual buying power of your members. No, that does mean that your overall guild chest is going to be a little lighter than other guilds, but there's more money in the hands of every one of your members. That's also meaning that they're asking you for money less, except if you're Soda.
Yeah.
Love them to death.
Soda, a little bit backstory. Soda will come in like every day and be like, "Hey, Jaster, can I have some money?"
It's a joke at this point, like, because I'm over here like, you get a job. You know what I mean? Like, it's all in good fun. You know what I mean? But like, I'm over here.
While I was over here,
I'm over here legitimately lending like Devin over here 18 mil to fucking go buy a medium house, and he's over here like, can I get glamour money?
Yeah, immediately after he was like, "Can I have like 60 mil to buy a large?" And he was like, "We don't have that. Fuck off."
Oh my god, I literally don't. Like,
and like,
it's not a problem.
I haven't even gotten the medium yet, and I'm already working that money back up.
Like, and yeah, we got assets we can burn in order to get liquid money, like get gil back. You know what I mean? But like, the bullion that we have saved back is for like absolute dire emergency situations, or they're going to start deleting items from my mailbox. If they do that, I gotta sell it all. You know what I mean?
Right.
I literally can't keep it. I have way too much. Like, I have over 250,000 items of just one item. It's insane.
Yeah.
It's not good. I went way too into it for a whole summer. But like,
I mean, that means that we have, if shit goes down, we have a backup plan. We have a backup funding.
oh yeah. Like, and to be fair, we needed it because like our original funding for the guild was the Diadem before it got ripped, and then like got turned into this, which like I haven't even touched it. I'm not even gonna lie. It's like
What the
new Diadem. No, I'm still mad about the old Diadem.
Well, I would upon like actually finally like understanding what exactly happened, like the Diadem went from being like a guild effort to just anyone can walk in at any time and just gather.
Now,
But like they're all you just do it solo. There's no incentive to go in with a group.
it's what made it frustrating, and like maybe guild leaders that are hearing this, whenever you're hearing this, like if you were a guild leader from before the old Diadem to now, I bet y'all pockets are feeling that shit too, because like we literally lost out a approximated $100 to $200 million like gil of income every year off of the Diadem, because we were relying on that to do a lot of stuff. And we got a lot of stuff done before we lost it, thankfully, but like we really had to pull back on our secondary and third methods of making money in order to really keep ourselves afloat. Because like I said, we were pulling hundreds of millions of gil a year off of the Diadem before it got taken. Because all it essentially was an area where you could collect timed nodes like regular nodes. So we were supplying all kinds of crap out there, you know what I mean? Like, we had enough cordials saved up to supply the guild to this day. Like, that's how much effort we put into that original Diadem. And then, like, not having that anymore kind of sucked. You know, like, that's why I don't like the new Diadem. It's because, like I said, I'm going to go back to lack of free company support. Like, we got something taken away from us as free companies and got nothing back.
Yeah.
But they got the Diadem, but they also can't sell anything out of it either. So, like, they can't even use it for the same reason that we used it for back in the day, which kind of sucks. You know, like, I'm not a giant fan of raiding for money in this game. I do like the treasures. I do like treasure maps and shit. That's really fun. I do like doing battling for money, but like I've always been more of an economic side of the coin when it comes to making coin in a MMO. Is like RuneScape. It's always been a separate activity for me. Like, I'd be going out making that bag, and then I'd go off and do my adventuring and stuff. Like, it took me a long time to really get into making money through adventuring in MMOs, mostly because it took a lot of time investment to get your character up to the levels and skill necessary to do those acts. When I'm 7, I can just buy somebody's crap because they're selling it for way too cheap, double the price, sit right there and sell it later and make money. I found that shit out quick. It's like the kid that figured out in elementary school you can steal Hot Wheels and sell them. You know what I mean? Like, I was on that shit, bro. And like I said, I was 7 or 8 years old making like mills in RuneScape. Didn't even think about selling the shit back in the day. I was just like, all of the kids on the school bus were trying to outbrag each other on how much money they could make in RuneScape. So, like, I was literally just out there flipping Bandos armor. Like, everybody's like, hey, I made 200K last night. They're like, how much money did you make? I said, 40 mil. They're like, what the fuck? Like,
bro, you're cheating.
yeah, right. They're like, no way. You know, and eventually one of them figured out what I was doing because they, like, we're all friends on RuneScape, right? So they just hopped over to my world and tried to find me, and they tracked me down. They're like, you're one of them? I'm like, yes. And you ain't. You know what I mean? But, like, to rebound back to 14, that's another good way that you can make money in this game is really just hop to other servers or use a app like Universalis that can track servers across and all their prices and do speculative market trading. Same thing. You know what I mean? I do it all the time. I'll find an item over on Framfred or something that's, I mean, just absolute booty cheeks on the price, okay? Buy it, and then most of the time it's a crafting item because we live on a crafting server, so like that's going to sell over here. And so I just go out and I do that. I go buy crafting mats from other servers, come back over and sell them here, make like maybe 15-20% markup. That's fine because I didn't do anything to get that shit. You know what I mean? So
right.
like I don't have to I don't have to sit here and push my profit margins because there's no real time investment, you know? Now, like, other than that, I'm not, like, entirely, like, off-put about the way the game does rating or anything like that. Like, on the PvE side, I've largely been very happy with how the game runs. Like, the stories kind of quipped me. And, like, yeah, there's some gripes I got with the community building aspect of the game. Like, let's not continue to do the link shelled crap and everything else like that. That's just literally an FC with even less stuff to do. Less things at your disposal. You know what I mean? You're literally just creating...
It's an FC with extra steps and less reward.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Support
your
local
I do agree
free
that
company.
I do agree that I really like, you know, the way combat works right now, and I'm excited because Yoshi P has said that he's regretting making the game, you know, so casual. Now, I don't mean, you know, everything coming up is going to be, you know, fucking savage content, but it's like, it's not going to be brain dead going through all content in the future.
What I really just hope is that doesn't just translate to the game also still sliding down this slippery slope of being a single player MMO and then just being harder. Because that's just two things I don't like. You know what I mean? Like, I don't like the game going single player, and then if they make it harder for me to progress through the parts that I don't like to get to the stuff that I do, then that's like a double negative.
Yeah, the main thing he talked about was like, you know, with like, you know, take dungeons, for instance. Take like new dungeons right now. The only thing you have to worry about is just the ads right now. There's no like, you know, maybe some kind of mechanic with the dungeon that you have to do or something like that. Or like with, you know, there's not enough like cool mechanics for like trials and like EX trials and stuff like that. Like, hell, even the EXs aren't even bad right now. I'll say right now, I don't think they're bad. The current Endwalker Extreme trials, like, kind of baby tier. Not gonna lie, kind of Google Gaga.
Man,
now I'm gonna get some fucking raider being like, bro, what? Yeah. Zodiac EX kicked me and my FC's ass, and be like, skill issue. I did it with the freaking randoms.
Like, I'm not gonna boast, but like I do. Like, okay, as a free company lead, I'm gonna boast a little bit. Like, my main healer fucking rocks. Okay, I've seen him literally out heal 2 other healers combined and outdo some DPS at the same time. So like, he's possible.
Dusting off my shoulder, he's talking about me.
Right. Like, definitely when we're doing something for the free company that's a little higher on the skill level, I do not worry about my healing. I just don't. It's not worth my time. Like, it's all in the bag.
Just throw me at it. Like, for fuck's sake, I go into healing. I go into solo healing high-end content. Like, it'll be like an 8-man. It'll be like, no. All right, we're going to do 2 tanks, 1 heal, and 5 DPS to get through it quicker. Because you guys let me let you in on a secret. You want to know the best healing spell between all of the classes? It's killing the boss. Quicker you kill the boss, the less heals you have to do.
You ain't lying. You ain't lying. That's the most truth I've heard all the time.
That's why I'm a fucking glare mage. I'm not a white mage. I'm a glare mage, buddy. Take the regen or get out.
See, like, I was a white mage main, I was a scholar main, I'm a red mage main now, and I was secondary gunbreaker. So, like, I've dabbled into all roles of the game, and, like, in my opinion, I think healers definitely have the harder time of it. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of people don't understand how their role affects the healer's role to do their job in the middle of a high-stakes situation. Like, yes, I understand you might have made a mistake and sat and stupid and shit, but that does not mean that as a DPS that your healer has to prioritize your dumbass when he's trying to keep the tank alive. Now, that does pose a problem, because if you take another hit, then your DPS goes all the way to 0. That's a problem. Very big understanding there. So, like, but you also just got to understand, your healer's dealing with so much more crap than you are right now. You know what I mean? Like, especially as a DPS, the tanks, they have more to deal with, but it generally boils down to make sure things attacking the party attack you instead, and you keep yourself available for the healers to keep you healed. Which, like, that I'm gonna make somebody mad with this one. Okay, I play Gunbreaker, right? Basically a blue DPS class. Gonna be honest, like, it's a tank, yes, but it's a DPS class. That's how it
plays
works.
Like a DPS.
That's how it plays.
It plays exactly like a DPS. Mm-hmm. No, you're right. It's got a 1-2-3 combo and everything. It's a DPS.
It's a DPS class. So, but it tanks. Instead, it does that. So, whatever.
It's a DPS with tank cooldowns. that's what it is.
And I love it. Like, I love it. And, like,
yeah, it's a fun class. No, it's a good.
I've got Gladiator leveled pretty sufficiently. I think the only one I didn't really touch is Reaper and Warrior.
No, Reaper's up.
DPS. Oh, okay.
Dark Knight.
Dark Knight. I got some Dark Knight done, but not a whole lot. But, like, the other two, not giant fans. I'm a Paladin and a Gunbreaker guy. And, like, if I were to recommend any of the 3 roles, obviously DPS first for a new MMO player, you know what I mean? Like, get used to dealing damage and not standing in stupid first before going into any other stuff, you know? The tank class is probably the more accessible of the 2 more, what's the word I'm looking for? Demanding roles. Okay, like, if you...
Let's say they're technical roles.
Yes, and I definitely...
You got your spank classes, but then you got your technical classes. You know, tanks, their tech is, you know, keeping themselves alive as much as, you know, keeping the party alive by drawing attention to themselves. And then healers, their job is keeping not only themselves alive, but everyone else alive, but also not heal botting.
Right, and there's a lot of support options that DPS have, but that's not your main role. Your main role is to beat the boss.
Yeah, that's you got an emergency toolkit in the back of your pocket. Yes. Basically, you got that that first aid kit with the Hello Kitty Band-Aid.
Well, unless you're Red Mage, that's actually why I picked it, because, like, Red Mage is my favorite class in the whole franchise. Honestly, it's a mage that does literally whatever you need, just not very well at anything. You know, that's Jack of all trades class. I love it, and as a leader in a team, right? So, like, just because I'm the free company leader does not mean that I'm the raid leader, okay? I'm not that guy. I know I'm not that guy, so I'm not going to try to be that guy. That goes to me and
Soda.
Yeah, I learned long ago. Give it to the guys that do that well, all right? Like, I got 2 good dudes that do it really good. Ain't got to worry about it. And I'm like, at that point, I'm a tertiary leader. Like, I'm a morale leader at that point, not really like a technical person, you know? So, like, me being a red mage,
so I have another raise.
Exactly. That's actually what I was about to say. Like, it makes sense for the person that, like, when everything's going wrong and you're like, your raid leaders are under pressure, right? And your guild leaders also in your party, you're probably going to look over at that jackass, right? So like, you're hoping the leader ain't dead or like, or fucking going nuts. No, I'm slinging heals and reses everywhere. There has been more than one occasion where we have went down to my jackass at 1 HP, and like I was able to just start raising the healers. You know what I mean? Just start dunking. Like I'm pumping more MP out of my healer than I can get. You know what I mean? And like,
yeah, when you're throwing up like raises, like if you're a healer and your other healer is down, of course raise them first. But if both healers are up, then get a red mage or a summoner up because they've got that extra raise.
And it's worth
let me tell you, having one extra raise, especially in like higher end content, makes so much of a difference if things are wrong. Because it can make it to where like, well, we have to just reset. It's like, wait, no, we have that one extra raise, we can recover.
Exactly. And like, here's another big caveat to this right here, because I know it's going to be in the comments if we don't say it. We are not a meta running raid community. We are not interested in doing that. My philosophy, as well as Soda and Devin's, is we are here as raid leaders, as community leaders, to make sure that the team gets over the finish line and gets the content done, right? I don't care about not taking no damn hits. Actually, I know that's not going to happen. Because, like, half of the team doesn't do raids. You know what I mean? So I know we're running in, undergunned, understaffed on experienced players. You know what I mean? So having those backups in place is good because it's not about beating it as best you can until you beat it first. And especially if you're a guild running PvE content where you've got new players coming in, a lot of the time is going to be spent just clearing content for somebody the first time anyway. So like the clear is more important. Like unless you're a world first level rating team or community or guild, which
we are far from,
and a lot of
we
people
don't give a shit about that.
And it, like, let's be honest, like this is one of the first major times we've talked about 14 on the podcast.
It really is, yeah.
And it's because I didn't want to be doing the podcast when I was sitting here in my current mental mind state for the game was I need to wait 3 to 5 more months to start gearing up for doing the X-Pack. Because I was still in that mind state of I'm just not having fun with the content in the current X-Pack. And like I said, as a almost 10-year veteran to this game, it was kind of surreal sitting around and everybody's having fun with this new X-Pack and I'm not. And I don't know why. It's not like hit me quite yet exactly why my brain's not having fun yet. And in that moment, I suddenly understood and empathized with all of these World of Warcraft players over the years. And like, I'm not trying to say that in a way of saying like, oh my god, the direction 14's taking is terrible, it's going to tank and all that shit. No, I don't believe that at all. I disagree with some of the directions made, but I overall think that we're going to continue to be successful as an MMO and as a community. But let's not jump the gun, you know what I mean? Like, oh my goodness. What was I just talking about? Sometimes I get so into it, I just forget where the train went. So, no, but seriously, what was I going on about?
We were just talking about running content and stuff.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, we were kind of going on a tangent. Real quick before we wrap up. I do want to. I didn't get to ask you when we ran it, but I know you didn't like the Gara mode stuff. I don't really think anyone in our guild really liked the Gara mode stuff anyway.
It was a waste.
But
it was a waste.
But the dungeon at the end, what did you think of it?
Loved it.
Yeah, I'm glad they at least reward you for such a slog in that part. Like
it.
The dungeon is
one of my favorite one of my favorite primals in the franchise. No.
Yeah. The dungeon we're referring to is the Tower of was it Tower of Babylon?
Yeah.
Isn't it called? Yeah, it's the second dungeon in the Endwalker. And it's a blast. That dungeon is a blast. I love the bosses in it. I especially love, as a raider, I especially love the final boss because it's a dungeon boss that plays like a raid. And oh my god, I love it.
Like, it was real good. And it was definitely representative of the original fight with that son of a bitch that I had when I was 10 years old playing Final Fantasy X, getting my shit kicked in for 6 months. Like, I was grinding against level 4 enemies for 3 days trying to get, like, you know what I mean? Like, straight trying to power level my people. I was doing make love, not Warcraft tactics. Okay? Like, it was terrible. Like, because at that point in that game, they don't give you really good grinding options, you know what I mean, before you get to that fight. That's the first major wall in the game. Is that boss. And, like, we're just trying not to spoil who it is for anybody who might not be there yet. Like, I know. Most people probably beat it like a year ago. I didn't. However, I am overall optimistic about the way that this thing's going now that we are free from the shackles, essentially, of the old saga and the old story. And now we can see what Yoshi P really wants to do with the way he crafts his stories.
This is now his, like, actual story to build. Like, this isn't like
it's important
he has to finish someone else's story. This is now his story, which I'm looking forward to what he's cooking. He's in the kitchen and it smells good.
It's the reason why I never actually quit 14 is because at the end of the day, that is the man that took this game from zero to the WoW killer. Okay? He had to finish up some loose ends. I understand that. But when it comes down to it, this man's done so much and turned this team around and, like, has built a passionate team to make a game that can finally topple a 20-year dynasty. And I didn't like 2X packs. That's fine. But like I said, it was a product made of a man that is currently not working for the game. Maybe even the company. I don't know. But now that we're past it, we should be seeing much brighter horizons. And with that, I think we're going to wrap up this episode of KoR Live, everybody. Like we said,
yes, we are.
What we're going to do from here on out is we're going to have our new structures out. We're going to be posting on YouTube very soon after it drops on Spotify. If you want to get your stuff hot, fresh out the oven, continue to listen on Spotify. We're not stopping support there. We're just going to expand our platform out to platforms that are more conducive for newer creators trying to find their community. And with that, everybody, if you like the show, like, comment, subscribe, whatever, you know how that goes. I can start saying that kind of stuff now. You know what I mean? So, thank you guys for watching. It's really appreciated. And thank you for tuning into this episode of KoR Live. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.